As we approach June 30th, Democrats running for president understand that that is their filing deadline, so they got to get all the money in while they can before that June 30th filing deadline to show that, hey, I made a lot of money, I've got a lot of donors, I can win this whole thing. And so that is why in this last week and a half of June, we have seen 9 different Democrats hold 9 different fundraisers up in New York, most of them with Wall Street executives and hedge fund managers and other people who really don't want anything in this country to change. According to a recent report by the New York Times, Wall Street is buzzing, they say, about 3 Democrats in particular: Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Pete Buttigieg. Those are the 3 top candidates among Wall Street circles on the Democratic side. Why? It's pretty obvious. They believe these 3 people are not going to endanger their way of life. And their way of life is making as much money as possible, even if they end up screwing over consumers. And they're confident that either of these 3 people would not affect that or interfere with it in any way. And that alone should tell voters everything you need to know about these 3 individuals. And of course, there's a few out there who actually say Beto O'Rourke is their guy. Those are red flags, folks. An endorsement by Wall Street is not something to be proud of. Groveling in front of these bankers who only care about how much money they can pack their bank accounts with is not an admirable thing to do. But that is what we have seen these Democrats do in the last week and a half, and some of them even longer than that. You know, a few months ago, in fact, I think it was back in January, Politico reported that an anonymous banking executive, when talking about the Democratic field and who the Democratic nominee would be, said, quote, "It can't be Warren and it can't be Sanders." Because those 2 individuals represent the greatest threat to Wall Street. And any candidate that poses a threat to Wall Street is a good candidate in my book. And I know Elizabeth Warren is kind of getting some crap right now. I understand the heat for her Medicare for All non-stance, I guess you could call it. But she's also said, maybe I'll take, PAC money or corporate money, whatever it is, in the general election if I win the primary. And they're saying, oh my God, Elizabeth Warren's a sellout. Well, listen, I wouldn't be happy with her taking corporate money. However, there is literally nothing in her history that would suggest that that money would corrupt her. Yes, she wants to raise money, but it's probably going to be impossible from a lot of industries because they understand that she is not going to bend. She is not going to break, and she is not going to bow down to their demands. She'll take their money, maybe, we'll see, and we'll address that when and if it happens. Bernie Sanders, I don't think we have anything to worry about there. But I do not think Elizabeth Warren is a corporate sellout, nor do I think Bernie Sanders is a corporate sellout. And that is why these Wall Street types are so afraid of them. Because even if they attempted to throw money at these candidates, they know it's not going to change a damn thing about the way they see the world and the problems that they want to fix. But these other folks, Biden, Harris, Buttigieg, O'Rourke, even Cory Booker is doing fundraisers up there, they know that they can pay them off. And that's the God's honest truth. And that's why they're holding these fundraisers. That's why they keep reaching out to them. Joe Biden told us explicitly, and by us, I mean he told bankers after he spoke about poverty, he then went and met with bankers for a fundraiser and said, I'm not going to threaten your way of life. I'm not going to threaten your profits at all. No, that's not me. I'm Joe. You know me. We know what these people are about now. And I hope more and more Democrats wake up and understand that a corporatist, centrist Democrat is not only not going to beat Trump, but they're not going to fix the problems that we have in this country. They will always, no matter how grand of a proposal they may have, they're going to water it down and scale it back in order to appease the corporate interests. And I am obviously sitting here in a swing state. I'm going to vote for whoever the Democratic nominee is, unless, of course, there is a viable third-party candidate then I might consider that. But if there isn't, then yeah, I'm going to vote for the Democrat, even if it's Joe Biden, even if it's Kamala Harris, which I actually think Harris would be better than Biden. I think Biden's one of the worst. But yeah, I'm going to vote Democrat, folks, because I understand that even when you have a crappy Democrat, it's still better than a horrid Republican. So that's where I'm at. But there's nothing wrong with criticizing some of these people today. I've had people ask me on Twitter recently, like, oh, should you be saying this? Because what if this person gets the nomination? Here's the thing. I have my personal political leanings. I have my personal preferred candidates. And I've made that abundantly clear. It's Bernie and it's Warren. I like them both. I'm happy if either of those people become president. Totally no problem with either of them. But I'm also not a cheerleader for any person, party, candidate, anything. That's not my responsibility here. That shouldn't be anybody's responsibility. I praise Democrats because Democrats typically do more things correct than Republicans do. They, for the most part, protect consumers a hell of a lot more than Republicans do. But I'm also not afraid to go after Democrats, even if it's a candidate who has the best shot at beating Donald Trump. When they screw up, when they do something bad or wrong, I'm going to call them on it, just like we do Republicans, just like all independent media should be doing. We're not cheerleaders. And if you are, then you miss the point of what you're doing. I will continue to call out corporatist Democrats. I'll praise them if they ever do anything good, which I have done. But right now, we're in a primary fight, and we need the best candidate possible. So I will be talking about people's flaws. And I don't think that's going to sway a general election if Joe Biden becomes the candidate. So don't, come at me and say like, oh, you can't say this because what if they're the candidate? Well, good. Then I will have spoken my piece. I will have educated people about where that person stands, and we'll see what happens in the general. I want to beat Trump, and I will do what it takes to make that happen. But I'm also not going to give anyone a pass just because I dislike someone else. That's not my job. It shouldn't be anybody's job. Hold everyone accountable for what they say and what they do. That's the bottom line. Thanks for watching, everybody. And don't forget, if you like what you see here, like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And now you can also become a member of Ring of Fire and get exclusive early access to certain Ring of Fire videos all throughout the week. Just click on the little join button right below the video.